Hi everyone, this is Leslie, and today I'm going to be talking to you about making these little elements with Swarovski crystals and delica beads. This is one of the first items I designed when I started making jewelry, and I still make them. They still sell nicely, and they're great as an earring or as a pendant, or you can link them together to make other things. Okay, let's talk about materials. For each of these units, I'm using an 8mm Swarovski crystal round bead. I've got four 4mm bicones and 8 3mm bicones. I've also got a little pile of delica beads, any color you like. I've got a number 12 beading needle and about an 1.5 arms length of 6-pound fire line. And I've also got another 10, I've got a number 10 beading needle sitting over here on the side, and you'll see what we're going to do with that in a little while. The other thing I want to say before we get started is if you want to post it on social media, that's totally fine. I'd really like you to tag me at @SeedBeadBliss. I don't mind if you make them, I don't mind if you sell them, but if you would do me the courtesy of tagging me, giving me a little credit, that would be great. Were you watching what I was doing? I just started going around this bead. Okay, so the first thing we're going to be doing is going around this bead. We're going to go through the bead, leave yourself a tail, and I've got 2 threads on each side, so you're going to be going through 4 times to surround this bead with thread. And I like to do it double just to reinforce. So I've got 2 threads over here and 2 threads over on the other side. Now, I've done this a lot. So what I know is that 16 delica beads will be the number of beads you'll need to go around an 8mm Swarovski crystal round bead. So the first thing you're going to do is pick up 2, go under those 2 threads that you just put on there, pull it down, and this is going to be brick stitch. So we're going to be brick stitching around this bead. Now for these first 2, just push them up on top of the bead with your finger and kind of hold on. They'll have a tendency to kind of stretch around the bead, and we don't really want that. We want these 2 to sit up at the top. And basically there's going to be 8 per side. So that's actually 2 on this side. Three. 4, and you should notice you're about you're almost exactly halfway down this side, brick stitching away to surround this 8mm Swarovski crystal in delica beads. It's the perfect number to divide up, perfect number of spaces for brick stitching. And we'll see that in just a minute. I'm going to continue around here. Keep your tension kind of medium. The outside rows should not be too tight. I'll talk more about that in a little bit. So we got them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. That first bead you put on will be the last bead on the second side. Okay, I've got one side done. See that? I'll keep going around with you. Here's your tail. Just kind of put that off to the side. Make sure you get under those 2 threads. And I'm using a dark bead and dark thread today. That's my dishwasher running in the background. I forgot to run it last night. My filming place is in my house. It's a little, I've got a little more room to spread out than I do at my studio for filming, so that's why I'm doing it here. Okay, there's 3 for the second side. Four, 5, 6, and the last one, there's just the right amount of space for it, 7, and now you've got your 16 beads sitting in there, so go through that first one. It was the first one you put in, so it's the last one in this row. Make sure you get underneath. And go right back up. So there we have it. We have our 8mm Swarovski crystal surrounded with 16 delica beads. Okay, so the way we're going to do this is we've got 4mm beads at the top and the bottom and the 2 sides, and we're filling in with 3mm beads. You don't have to use 4mm beads. For this one I used a 5mm bead bicone on the top, the rest 4. I've even done it, I'll try to put some pictures at the end of this video showing you some other combinations I've done with this design. It's pretty versatile. But I'm going to show you the basic unit here. So for row 2, once we have this established, we've got 16 spaces to fill in with brick stitch. Think about that, 16 beads, 16 spaces. So we're going to pick up a 4mm bicone and a 3mm bicone. See that? And this is the top space here at the top of the bead. So that 4mm is going to sit there. And then in the very next space, you're going to go through, and that's where the 3mm is going to sit. So think about it like this. You've got basically 12 beads going around and 16 spaces to put them in. So the best thing to do to make sure that this 4mm bead sits in the right place is to put a number 10 needle through it. Put a needle in it through the bead, and then it will sit in the right place and you don't have to try to hold it. It should look just like that. So the next 3mm bicone, you're going to pick that up, skip a space, and go in the next one. Like I said, we've got 12 beads and 16 spaces, so we're going to be skipping a few. And basically, we're going to be skipping the one between the 3mm bicones. And next in the pattern is another 4mm bicone. We'll put that in the next space, and that'll be the middle space on the side. Just make sure it's sitting nice. It's sitting at a right angle. Should be right in the middle. There's not a lot of wiggle room, so it should sit pretty well. And in the very next space again, put a 3mm bicone. Coming around here, and then the next space we're going to skip a space again like we did up here, so 2 spaces down, put the next 3mm, and now we're down to the bottom. So pick up your 4mm, move that needle out of the way a little bit, go through that bottom, the very next space, and up. And I like to keep that needle. I like to put it through there just so it holds everything in place. See how it's doing that? Then I don't have to worry about holding it with my finger. There we are. I'm going to repeat this pattern on the other side. Next space 3 3mm bicone. Skip a space and another one. See, we're almost done. Pick up a 4mm for the last corner we need to put on. In the next space. There we go. Make sure that's sitting just right. Oh. 3mm in the next space. Skip a space and put the last one in. Row 2 is almost done. There we go. Now take out your needle and go down through the top bead and brick stitch that one in place as well. There you have it. Now don't pull this too tight because you don't want this to buckle. So leave it so the beads are sitting nice and soft, like that. So that's how you fit 12 beads into 16 spaces. Now we have one more row of delicas to go around, and the good news is I can tell you exactly how many to put in each of these thread spaces. I've also got my 2 little links of chain, so I have something to hang it from. If you're going to make it a link, you can put one at each end. So for this last row, again, you'll pick up 2 beads. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and put my little hanging thing at the top. So I'm picking up 1 bead, my 2 links of chain, and another bead. If you're using that, you can do that. If not, that's okay. There we go, just like that. Now make sure they sit right on the top of that bicone. Now, so this is going to be 3 beads, 2 beads, and 3 beads on each side. It really does work out perfectly. There's a tiny bit of space between them, but it'll all sit just right. So 1, 2, 3 in the first space. And you're covering up that thread as well. Make sure it's sitting over there. There we go. Now, for the next space, we'll do 2 between those 3mm bicones. 1. And 2. And again, 3 in this space. 1. 2. 3. Okay, you've got a quarter done. See how nicely those fit in there? Now continue this pattern going around 3, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3. And I will leave you now, and I will see you at the end to talk about finishing it up. Okay, everybody, I'm back. I just laid in the last delica bead, and I'm back at the top. And I'm going to go through the first bead that I put on, go down under, and that's going to finish that row. And back up there. There we are. We're done. Now to finish this off, I'm going to go through the ring, and then I'm going to go down through all the beads here. This is one reason you want to use a number 12 needle. I have broken so many beads trying to go through the delicas. So it's good, and if it's not too tight, I've also worked a lot with the tension on this, so it's not too tight. Go down to the bottom. And that's it. You're done. You've got a very cute little element to use any way you like. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you have any questions. And I'll see you next time. Here's a little slideshow of some variations I've made on this idea. Here with dangles and different numbers of beads at the corners. Here's a double one. Again, this one is built up a little bit on the corners. And here's with a lot of fringe. Enjoy!